ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here Lord Kapila is explaining about how the living entity becomes trapped in this material world. First of all, we should understand the living entity comes in this material world for imitating the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is described as Parama Purusha. Purusha means one who enjoys, one who predominates. Living entity, the soul, whether it is woman, whether it is men, or whether it is the soul present in the body of an animal, whatever, the soul is supposed to be a prakriti which is meant for rendering service to Purusha. Here in the material world it is imitation. In the spiritual world it is the original position. He is the supreme male, the supreme Lord, and all his part and parcels, the living entities, and he has many other energies, including even his internal energy. All his energies are called Prakriti. So Srimati Radharani is also Prakriti. She is internal potency of the Lord. Maya is external potency of the Lord. Living entity are marginal potency of the Lord. So whether it is internal energy, whether it is external energy Maya, or whether it is marginal energy the living entity, all of them are called Prakriti. In this material world, the living entity comes to imitate the Supreme Lord by becoming a Purusha, and he wants other living entities to serve him. He wants that others should be Prakriti and he should be Purusha. So, in real sense, in the material world, it is only a dress. Suppose you are a woman. Sometimes you would have seen women dress up like men. Suppose you are a woman and you keep long hairs like a woman, and you decorate yourself like a woman, and you wear external garment like a woman. Just because you are wearing the dress of a woman, does it mean that you have become a woman? You are still not woman. Similarly, somebody is a woman and she may dress up like a man externally. Let us say wearing pant, shirt, everything, and may dress up like a man. Does it mean she becomes a man? So this understanding should be very clear. In this material world, woman or man or animal, all these are varieties of bodies we have taken. Somebody has taken the body of a woman, somebody has taken the body of a man, isn't it? So just like in this verse, somebody who has taken the body of a man, for him what is Maya is described. Somebody who has taken the body of a man, for him woman is Maya. In the next two verses, for a woman, man is Maya, is also described. Now here the example, you can see the example. The example is given. For a man, if he becomes attached to sense enjoyment with a woman, it is considered to be death. It is considered to be like death. That means he is committing suicide. How the example is given is it's like a blind well. Blind well means sometimes there is a well which does not look like a well, it looks like ground. In jungle, sometimes it happens that above the well, deep well, sometimes there are creepers and grass, and you cannot make out that if I walk there, I will actually go down. You will go inside the well. So it is said here, Tam ikshita atmano mrutyum trinaihi kupam. It is like kupam, well, which is covered by trinaihi, grass. Otherwise it is, once one goes down into that, it is certainly death for him. In the next to next verse, it is explained, woman therefore should consider her husband, her house, her children to be arrangement of external energy of the Lord. You see. Now for a woman it is described what is Maya. Woman, man becomes attached to service of woman. How a man becomes attached to woman? When woman renders service to men. So this is very important for brahmacharis. Do not accept service from women. If you want to remain brahmachari, if you want that you should not fall into the blind well, that do not accept personal service from a woman. So that is how man becomes attached to woman. It is by service. How does a woman become attached to men? Is when she considers her house, her children, husband to give her protection, that she is safe, and she becomes completely dependent like that. So what is Lord Kapila saying? Woman should consider her husband, her house, her children to be arrangement of Maya, of the Lord. For what? For her death. And the example here is given. So you can see the two different examples. Just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. Hunter is playing very nice music, everything. Deer is captivated. It is death, sure death for the deer. So, these are two very important things to be understood very properly. These, if we can understand these things properly, then one can save himself from falling into the pit of material attachments. So, first important thing to understand is that only Purusha is Krishna. Everyone else, Krishna and his expansions, they are all Purushas. Everyone else is nothing but energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That energy can be divided into multifarious divisions, internal, external, marginal. But all of them are Prakriti. Prakriti is meant to serve Purusha. That is original position. So a male takes pleasure when wife serves the husband. That we find even in Vaikuntha. The Lord is served by Sahasra Lakshmi in Vaikuntha. That is the original position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the material world, what constitutes Maya for a male, for the living entity who has got the body of a male, what constitutes Maya is if he imitates the Supreme Personality of Godhead by taking so-called loving service from his wife, imitating the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enjoying that rasa. Then one becomes attached to Maya in this material world. So, for a male to become attached to the service given by woman is considered to be Maya. And the example is given, it is just like a blind well covered by grass. So, this is very essential for anyone who is practicing Krishna consciousness, whether he be a grahastha, whether he be a brahmachari or in any ashram. One should understand very clearly, grahastha life, one is, it's a concession for regulating his senses. Another is, if he follows the rules and regulations of grahastha life, then it is considered grahastha life is like a fortress. Grahastha life will be like a fortress. by which one can conquer over his enemies, the six senses, mind and the five senses. This is what Lord Brahma told to Maharaj Priyavrata. See, this is very interesting. Here, if you see, it is said woman is like a blind well. If you accept service from a woman, it is like entering into a blind well. You will surely, you are going towards hellish life. So, this word has to be properly understood. Yoshit actually means material enjoyment. When a man looks at a woman as an object of material enjoyment, that is very important. Otherwise, how do we understand this? Here, example is given, a man becoming attached to woman who is trying to progress in spiritual life. It is like entering into a deep and dark well. Now let us see what Lord Brahma says. He is telling this to Maharaj Priyavrata. First of all, he explains to him, it is the desire of the Supreme Lord. I have not come here by my own will. I have come here by the desire of the Supreme Lord. And I have come to instruct you that if you simply follow the desire of the Supreme Lord, there is no question you will become entangled in material life. Do not worry. So then, Brahma, what is he saying? One who is situated in household life, and this is very important, one who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and five sense organs by following the principles of regulation in Grahastha Ashram, following the principles of Grahastha Ashram, not taking the wife as an object for my sense enjoyment. That is not the idea. Then it is called Graham Andakupam. Then it is called Graham Andakupam. If one has no higher sense and he is living in a household life only for the sake of material sense enjoyment, that is Graha Andakupam. Otherwise it is called Grahastha Ashram. He has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. Ashraya is taken only of the Supreme Lord. No one else is, good enough to be taken shelter of in this material world. The only Ashraya Tattva is the Supreme Lord. Everyone else is Ashrita, dependent on Him. So this Grahastha Ashram means one who lives with his wife and children for the purpose of taking shelter of the Supreme Lord in a regulated way as it is given in the Vedic scriptures. That is the idea. So that is what is defined here by Brahmaji. If one leads a proper Grahastha life, actually he can become very, very strong in his Krishna consciousness. If he lives a proper Grahastha life. See what it is said. One who is situated in household life systematically conquers his mind and five sense organs is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. After one has been trained in household life, his lusty desires have decreased. He can move anywhere without danger. So what is the purpose of entering into Grahastha life is, with regulation, his lusty desire should decrease, not increase. Not that now I am dissatisfied with my wife and I look for somebody else's wife. That is not the idea of Grahastha life, isn't it? So that means one is taking woman as an object for his sense enjoyment. So here we can see Lord Brahma is saying So the whole idea is for a man getting attached to the service of a woman is hellish. It is death for him. And the example is given, it is like Graha Andha Kupam. He is going to fall into a well which is blind, which he does not know it is covered by grass. Actually it is his death. And in the next to next shloka, Lord Kapila is saying, a woman therefore should consider her husband, her house, her children to be arrangement of external energy of the Lord for her death. For her also. She should also consider that if I become attached to my husband, if I become attached to my wealth and my property, my house, my children, that they will safeguard me, they will give me protection. Actually, she should understand it very clearly. This is arrangement of the Lord for me to become attached. Only little advantage a woman will get is, if she becomes attached to a husband, she will get next life as a man. Nothing more than that she is going to get. She is not going to get Krishna because of that. So, even she should also understand that my husband, my children, my home, all this is nothing but arrangement of Maya for my death. If I become attached and if I am perpetually here happy, no, I have a good husband, I have a lot of money, everything is fine for me, all my desires are satisfied, I get whatever different material desires I have, so I am living in a very nice condition of life. So she should also understand this kind of mentality is also death. And the example here, two different examples are given. For a man, the example is given, it is just like accepting service from a woman, is just like, and becoming attached, is just like entering into a blind well. And this example for a woman, the example is given, it is like the hunter which is right there to kill the deer, and he is singing sweet songs. Nicely he is playing some musical instrument and the deer is completely, infatuated, does not even understand that actually my impending death is standing near me. And then deer is shot down by the hunter. So Prabhupada, that's why he says, in that purport Prabhupada explains, men should not become attached to women, women should not become attached to men, both of them should become attached to Krishna. So in brahmachari life, there is no question of woman. In grahastha life, it is important that husband and wife, they do not become attached materially to each other. Rather, actually, if a husband understands this very clearly, that a good wife, a chaste wife, is like a fortress for me. It is like a fortress for me. Isn't it? So Grahastha ashram is meant for, once we follow the rules and regulations, gradually our lusty desires will decrease. And then, just like Lord Brahma is saying, one can roam around freely without any fear of getting entangled in this material. So I'll read from that purport Prabhupada is saying. Vedic system of 4 varnas, 4 ashrama is very scientific. Entire purpose is to control the senses. See? The purpose of varnashrama is to control the senses. If somebody can control, he does not require a concession at all. Does not require a concession to enter into grahastha ashrama and with regulation. Then one can directly from brahmacharya can take sannyas. Vanaprastha and grahastha comes only when one enters into Grahastha life. For Grahastha there is Vanaprastha. Otherwise, Brahmachari can directly take to sannyas. So, Prabhupada is saying, before entering household life, a student is fully trained to become Jitendriya, conqueror of the senses. Such a mature student is allowed to become a householder. And because he was first trained in conquering his senses, he retires from household life and becomes Vanaprastha as soon as strong waves of youthful life are past. See? So it's very scientific. At the age of 25, when he enters into Grahastha life, the waves of these desires is very strong. And slowly in that Grahastha life, these waves will become diminished. So as soon as it is diminished, both husband and wife retire from intimate association. Any kind of bodily association, they retire from that voluntarily. That is called as Vanaprastha life. And then finally, one takes sannyas. So as soon as the strong waves of youthful life are past and he reaches the verge of old age, at 50 years or slightly more, then after being further trained, he accepts sannyas. He is then a fully learned and renounced person who can move anywhere and everywhere without fear of being captivated by material desires. The senses are considered very powerful enemies. As a king in a strong fortress can conquer powerful enemies, a householder in Grahastha ashrama, household life, can conquer the lusty desires of youth and be very secure when he takes Vanaprastha and sannyas. See? So this is very important. So, here we can see this, that Prabhupada is explaining about how a male, he should practice Krishna consciousness, not becoming attached to his household life. One becomes attached, that's why if you see, Chanakya Pandit has described that there are certain enemies of household life. He says, Pita Shatru Rina Kritva. Father is considered to be enemy of oneself if father leaves his children with lots of debts. Then father is considered to be like an enemy for his children. Rina Kritva Pita Shatru. Mata Shatru Vyabhicharini. Mother is considered to be enemy of family life if the woman becomes attached to somebody else outside of his family life. Then she is considered to be enemy. Then it is said the wife is considered Rupavati Bharya Shatru. If the wife is very beautiful, then she is also considered to be the enemy. So because so many lusty people will have their eyes on your wife, so then actually she becomes a Shatru. She also becomes enemy. And Putra Shatru Apanditaha. And if the child, if your son, if your Santan who is born out of you, if they are fool number one, then they are also considered to be Shatru of the whole family. So these are some of the statements by which one can actually understand what precaution one should take in our different conditions of life which we are practicing. So, for a brahmachari, it is very important that he observes brahmacharya in all conditions of his life, in his words, in his actions, in his behavior, in his words. That is called as following the principles of brahmacharya. Not that we contemplate in our mind or in our words, and then we are thinking that actually we are practicing the principles of brahmacharya. So, if we want that we advance in spiritual life, Urdhava Retasa is a very important position which is required for a brahmachari to reach by practicing the principles of brahmacharya. Urdhava Retasa means he does not allow his semen to flow down. And when the semen is not flowing down, slowly it will rise up to the brain. Slowly it will rise up. It will nurture the special section of the brain, the different tissues and the cells in the brain. And Prabhupada says, the Lochan, what is the symptom of such a brahmachari? He can verbatim remember all the instructions given to him by the spiritual master. That is why earlier there were no need of writing down, taking down notes. Isn't it? Earlier there were no books at all. They are called as Shruti. Shruti means once the disciple hears from the spiritual master, he remembers it for his whole life. You see? Just like even Arjuna, we can see Arjuna, even when the Lord disappeared, he remembered all those instructions. Whatever were given to him. You see? It is only in the Kali Yuga, after seeing the degradation of the age of Kali, Veda Vyasa thought it, I should write down, because in this age of Kali, people will have short memories, you see, because uncontrolled in their senses. So otherwise, actually brahmacharya principle, if one follows, there is no doubt about it that it will be called as Urdhava Retasa. Our semen will go higher and higher, and it will gradually make our intelligence very, very strong. So, this is what should be observed by a brahmachari, that if we can avoid contemplation through our senses, and if we can engage our senses totally in the different kinds of engagement which Srila Prabhupada has given, actually one can find that he will slowly develop higher taste in devotional service, and his senses will not hanker after these petty material pleasures. This will not be possible just by our intelligence. It will be possible only with engagement of the senses, thoroughly, properly. Intense engagement of senses are very, very crucial, very important. So we'll stop with this Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah.
Man should not attach to woman, and woman should not attach to man. So both should attach to
Krishna.
service.
Yes.
So when So we may say we are doing it from the service of Krishna. Brahmachari may say, actually I am going to explore for a preaching purpose.
Okay.
Grihastha may say, I have attached to wife because of service. So when it comes to practicality, so how we can take the steps that I am not attached to women, but to the service. And another extent is that we are in the verge of constructing a temple. Practicality, actually it is not possible because we are short of resources, all those things. How we can balance and what are the criteria to understand that I am not attached to the woman but to the service.
Okay. Okay. So that's why actually a lot of precautions are required to be taken. The meaning of what Prabhupada is saying, catch the fish without becoming wet. That art you have to learn. That you should be able to catch the fish and you also don't become wet by that. The principle is given by Rupa Goswami. Principle is given by Rupa Goswami. Anybody knows that verse? Anasaktasya Vishaya. First of all, one has to understand all these are Vishaya. Money, women, all these things for a practitioner is Vishaya. So he should practice to be unattached to those objects of sense. That is the first training. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharam Upayunjata. As much it is required, as much interaction is required to carry on with your services without getting wet, you should do. Not more than that. Say for example, some practical example I will give you. Suppose you take precaution that as a brahmachari, let us say we are in lack of resources and you are told to go out alone. You cannot be provided with a partner. But you are finding it very difficult. Your mind is getting agitated, or when you see a woman your mind gets attracted. All those things may happen. So then you should go to your authority and say, Prabhu, it is not possible for me. Please, even if I have to go out, can I go out with another partner? So it is up to us. Sometimes, there may be kind of a cheating propensity in a brahmachari because he is looking out to vent out his different kinds of desires. And he may take a vehicle, drive himself, and he may give a false reason. No, Prabhu, I had to go for one medical treatment. And actually he may go out for just meeting someone whom he has been meeting, and somebody is very impressed with him. You see? So it completely depends on what you want to achieve, whether you are sincere in your purpose. If we are a brahmachari and if we don't take precaution, then there is no doubt about it that we will fall prey. And we find so many examples like that. You see? I remember one example, I don't want to name anyone. When one devotee, one brahmachari, somebody complained to me that, Prabhu, this devotee brahmachari is preaching to women so much, he sits with the women. It's not good and it will affect his spiritual life. So somebody brought to my notice and I brought to that brahmachari's notice. He sent me a message. They should change their vision. That brahmacharis who are complaining against me should change their vision. See? But then finally he became entrapped, engrossed, and practically, buried their existence. So this kind of cheating propensity, if somebody wants to do, then nobody can save him. Isn't it? In the name of preaching. So brahmachari has to be alert in that sense, that it is not required. Just like I will give you example. When I used to sit in counter in Bangalore, I used to follow this. If I find any Mataji coming regularly, I will immediately introduce that Mataji to Chameri Mataji, some other Mataji, that please take guidance from them. I will not be able to preach to you. I am meant here to preach to new people, and okay, I have given you something, whatever. After that, now you should go and continue. These precautions, if you do not take, where it is possible? If we allow ourselves to get carried away, then nobody can protect you. Prabhupada gives that example. You catch hold of a tree and say that tree is not leaving me. No, you are catching, you loosen. You will be able to, isn't it? So, with certain precautions if you take, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will guarantee, Prabhupada is guaranteeing, you will not get entangled. Prabhupada is saying, we have to deal with so much money, we may have to deal with women, we have to deal with karmis. So much management we have to take care. But if you are sincere in your attempt, Prabhupada is saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will see to it that we will not get entangled in it. You have to be sincere. That is important. If you want association of women, and as a brahmachari you are cheating, greatest offense you are doing. It's a greatest offense. You are going and meeting some woman regularly, carrying on with your affairs, and still you want to have saffron dress. You know, Krishna says he is vyabhichari, mithyachari. He is. Such person, there is no question that he can advance in spiritual life. See, it is different. Our senses will get attracted, it is different. But if you pursue those things, by cheating the authorities, you want to pursue all those things. Greatest offense. Such a person, there is no question that he will be able to advance ever. For him, it is better. Like a gentleman, you come to the authority and say, Prabhu, my senses are uncontrolled. Isn't it? Rather than creating a disturbance in the society, polluting the society by going to somebody else's wife. Isn't it? Better is be a gentleman, keep one woman, be properly married as it is given in the Vedic scripture. That should be the idea. Of course, that does not mean that the moment some lusty desire comes and once you become grahastha, nothing will come. It is not like that. But you should be sincere in your attempt to control. That is the idea. You don't make a plan to exploit this saffron dress. There is no doubt people have respect. People come to you not because, they are coming to you, you are a sadhu. And you take misadvantage of being a sadhu. They will become attached to your preaching and then you become attached materially to them. And then exploit those situations. Isn't it? That is not good.
He approaches authority. The authority says that, no, we actually have shortage of resources. Better we go on our own.
So if authority is mature enough and if he takes a proper decision, then actually there is some kind of protection. If one hears his authority and goes out, let us say the authority has some kind of confidence that does not matter, you do not worry, nothing will happen, things will, then at least there is some kind of protection. But generally I don't think any authority, if somebody approaches and says, reveals his mind, Prabhu, I am facing problem, I don't want to go alone, can I have one more partner with me? I don't find that anybody will be so unreasonable to say that no, you cannot.
Because we are in a construction phase, so we are...
No, there is nothing, hurry. More important is spiritual life of devotee. Isn't it? First you have to build our spiritual life. If our spiritual life is built, Krishna will build the temple at the earliest. Not at the risk of our spiritual life. No. One should not take that risk. Material life we can take risk. Let us say I may have to sleep little less, all those things. That is understandable. We can work more vigorously, but not getting entangled with Maya. Don't take risk with Maya. Maya is very strong. Only way to conquer over Maya is to completely surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. There is no other way. Isn't it? Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki